Reddit by Reddit recap. Normal Redditors that dated a celebrity, what was it like? One of my dad's close friends is Jim Carrey's first wife. Apparently he turned into kind of a dick when he got famous. Shock 8ng. I know. I remember a decade or so again when their grown kids band was trying to make a living with their music. She really wanted Jim to help them get bookings and stuff, and he was all they need to make it on their own. Then he got a new girlfriend who told him to help his kid out and he did. First wife is still salty about that. Years ago at a hotel bar party I saw Alicia Cuthbert sent a bottle of vodka to her table. Upon learning it was me who sent it, she motioned me over to her table, promptly asked me if I was a drug dealer, told me I was dressed like a bum, and sent me back to my table with my bottle of vodka. That was my date with Alicia. I guess we just weren't meant to be. Not a date, Paresi, but I had a nice quiet dinner with Samantha Fox in her hotel room in Toronto in the 80s. She was in town for a show, and I was attached to her security detail. She asked me to eat with her because she didn't want to go out, but hated eating alone. Sweet girl, kinda sad too. Lonely. I dated a girl who went on to be a sort of alternative porn star. We were both 17 over 18, and she was really nice, and we got on really well, but she was almost too obsessed with sex even then. The second time we hung out, she gave me a blowjob in a graveyard. Like, it really couldn't get more emo. And yes, it really was that good. We broke up and kind of lost contact, and then I found out she was doing porn. Think she only did it for a little while, but it was certainly interesting when I found out. A few years ago I was getting on a flight back to San Diego after my cousin's wedding. I was very hungover and judging people as I walked to my gate. I see this long-haired man stride by me in a purple button-down and think, who's this cupcake? Not a sexuality comment, just a shirt color comment. As he walks by I realize, holy shit, that's Fabio. A bit later after getting a snack, my brazen and probably still drunk self saw him sitting at his gate and just sat down next to him. I look away, then right at him and say, "You're Fabio," and he says so coolly, "Yes I am," and shakes my hand. We proceeded to talk for 30 minutes until he had to leave. He was so intelligent. Discussed cancer therapies in depth, and I recall thinking, just nod and smile, Fabio is way smarter than you, just nod and smile. Before leaving he asked for my number and texted me the next day for a date. Nothing ever came of it, but I still have his number in my phone. PS my dad followed up for weeks to make sure I wasn't dating the man on every romance novel cover. I dated Fox Pavilion for 7 years. It was great. So we got married in January. I enjoy my own company, so the touring isn't really a problem. Edit. I posted that and then felt guilty about such a low effort post. So, it's nice to share my life with a person so creatively fulfilled. I love hearing whatever he's worked on that day when he gets home. I get to tag along to cool places, and it's sweet to see how much people care about his music. I generally don't try to explain what he does when I meet new people, because they either won't get it and don't care, or they do get it, care too much, and then only want to talk to me about his music. Largely though, just a normal happy marriage. He judges me when I listen to Radio 1. I judge him when his phone isn't on silent. His job isn't much of a factor in our daily life. I married Josh, not Fox Pavilion. Really? He's an excellent husband for myriad reasons, and his musical talent is only one of those. Probably too late for this, but about 15 years ago, when the show The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie was popular, I made out with Paris Hilton at a nightclub in Baltimore. Essentially, they were filming them doing all sorts of random jobs around the country and staying with local families, all for the culture clash laughs. One of those families ended up being my friend and her family. Being a close friend and a well-known admirer of Paris at the time, I was invited over and got to hang with her and Nicole Richie a good amount while they were in town. Both of them were super sweet and a lot smarter than they played for the camera. Paris was a great kisser, and this story is always a hit with my friends. A few months later, her phone was hacked and nudes were leaked. My number was in her phone book, and I got spammed with prank calls from 4chan or something. I imagine it was a lot worse for anyone who was actually famous. Anyhow, basically lost total contact after that. But still a fun story. My aunt was in an off-again on-again relationship with David Bowie. She was probably about 20 years younger than him. But he first saw her at a party in La and a woman came up to her and asked her if she wanted to meet David. He would put in her shoes and dance around. She said it was very sad to watch him throughout the years as he became addicted to cocaine. She was also on the 1980 Playboy cover with Steve Martin. They went out for drinks a few times after that and said he was mostly shy and very quiet. She had a signed copy from him that said "Thanks Amy for you know what." Posted this before. Not really a celebrity, and I did not know when we first met that she was famous. I had a brief friendship/relationship with a former porn star. She was a really nice woman, and when I was aware of her fame it did not cause any problems. Every now and then someone would go wide-eyed when they saw her. Men tended to just look, and if they had friends they would point her out to them. Women were much more upfront. They would say things like "I love that scene with you" and whatever guy or guys, and they would usually say a particular position that was their favorite. That even happened when we were sitting together having lunch. I have a family friend who dated Daniel Radcliffe. I was 7 at the time they dated and a huge Harry Potter fan. I don't remember much aside from the fact that he was a really sweet guy. On my 8th birthday, my family friend told Daniel it was my birthday and he texted me a personal happy birthday message despite never having met me. Absolutely made it the best birthday ever. My college roommate and best friend became YouTube famous over the years. It has been really odd to watch it happen. I've been on trips with her, gone to conventions, seen fans cry over her, and cry over me, which is even odder, and it's a weird balance of totally normal and totally abnormal. When we go out to lunch, sometimes she'll get a fan or two that ask for a picture, but it has changed the way she views the world. Every time she leaves the house, it is stressful for her. She's always worried about how she's looking or acting. She's always been a sweet girl, so she really doesn't have much to worry about, but she stresses so much about being her best self to everyone she meets, because you never know who knows her and who doesn't. She's terrified of anyone having anything but a 100% positive experience with her. It can really wear on a person to not be able to let that go. And yes, YouTube famous may not be what I've had in mind, but I'm sure this applies elsewhere. The loss of anonymity is brought up often with celebrity, but I didn't really understand it till I saw her go through it myself. I had an English teacher that went on a date with Mark Hamill just after filming Star Wars in the 70s. She said he was a nice guy and was very humble. He said he was a small-time actor and said he had just finished a new movie that he thought might be successful. They only went out once and she never heard from him again. Saw him in Star Wars a few months later and had her mind blown. Not dated for any of these stories, but semi-related. My mom went to a party with Janis Joplin. She said she was wild, funny, but crude, and smelled like she hadn't showered or brushed her teeth in weeks. Janis Joplin died not long after. I went to university in Westchester, PA. Seeing Bam Margera, Ryan Dunn, and crew was a relatively common sight. The first time I saw them was the same night I got the call from my parents telling me that my family dog was put down, very old, very sick. My friends took me out drinking, and we ran into Bam and crew. Bam asked why I was down, and when I told him, he bought my drinks for the rest of the night. I went out bar hopping with them a few times after that. They were nice, but wild. Could never quite prepare myself for a night out with them. Ryan was as kind as could be and absolutely hilarious. Not me, but my aunt dated Weird Al Yankovic when she was in her mid-20s. I wasn't alive back then, but my family tells me he was a genuinely funny person in a way you wouldn't very much expect. I can't personally give any examples, but my dad and aunt have plenty of stories. One of my much older cousins actually has a signed guitar that Al played with in a live show. My aunt and Al met from my dad being a radio DJ as a teenager, and he met a lot of celebrities through that. Mostly 90s and early 2000s pop and country stars, but anyways, the station my dad worked at threw weird Al a birthday party, and my aunt just happened to be there, and they ended up together for a decent amount of time. Every once in a while Al will come into town to say hi to her. Even though they aren't together, they are still friends. And no, Al isn't cheating on his wife with my aunt. My aunt's a strong married Christian, and I'm more than 100% sure she wouldn't do that. One of these days I might end up meeting him, which I think would be pretty cool. A friend of mine banged Matthew McConaughey. She's a costumer in Hollywood and was hanging out in the bar at Chatham Armand when Matt comes up to her and says, "How about you and me walk 30 feet and get naked?" Her initial response was lol no, but by the end of the night her friends convinced her she had to do it. This was peak 2000s Matt, when he was ripped and constantly shirtless. So she went up to his room at the hotel and they banged. Apparently it was sweaty, mostly from behind, and he preferred to watch them, mostly him, in the mirror. Same girl also dated Mick G from NSYS, but apparently he was a total sweetheart. Jonah Hill awkwardly slid me his number when I worked in a hotel he was staying at. We went to coffee once, and he got super clingy. Asked me for nudes every day. I was 20 and a virgin. He wanted to throw me a 21 Street birthday party in Palm Springs, and when I politely declined he turned real and said goodbye. He wasn't even funny. My college roommate's cousin, I believe, went on a date, maybe multiple dates, with Armie Hammer, before he blew up in the social network, and apparently he forgot all about the date or dates they went on, and when he tried to reintroduce himself to her at another encounter, she said something along the lines of, "I know. We used to date. Pretty sure the guy's married now." My aunt lived down the street from Leonardo DiCaprio when she was a kid. He was her first kiss. She was 12, he was 13. It was behind the school gym. Apparently he was a really nice kid. She moved away before he started landing roles. Totally lost touch. Best comment of the day. Never dated anyone famous, but one of my older coworkers' cousins went on a date with Sean Connery before he became famous and said he was a rude jerk. Another old coworker dated Kiefer Sutherland for about 3 weeks and said he was extremely nice and friendly, but kind of a lonely person. My only link to fame is I know some mildly famous authors personally and have had some short interactions with more famous authors. That and I was buds with the guitar player for one of the most famous metalcore bands in the world around 2007 to 2012 time frame. They still get around 1 million monthly listens on Spotify now, because his family is really close to mine, and his cousins are my godbrothers.